potential building project, we wanted to share the current conditions of the Wildwood and Fort River schools. We received questions from the community about the existing infrastructure issues in the current buildings that would be replaced if the project receives state and local funding approval. Staff members from each school volunteered to be interviewed for this project to share their experiences working at Wildwood and Fort River.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Nick Yaffe. I'm the principal of Wildwood School. This is my 6th year as a principal here, and before that I was the principal of the Marks Meadow School. There are a lot of issues, so when I came to Wildwood, I loved the staff, I loved the kids, I loved the community, but I quickly recognized that this building itself was outdated and we needed something new.
There's just a lot of things that we didn't know in 1970 that we know now. My name is Doug Pion. I'm the maintenance coordinator for the Amherst Public School Department. My job is to oversee the maintenance of all of the equipment, which would be kitchen equipment, heating systems, fire alarm, security, building inspections. Pretty much any of the day-to-day operation of the building falls under me.
In terms of the ability to focus and well-being, the infrastructure here, we've really worked hard, and the district has worked hard to make it so that people feel like they are comfortable enough to focus on the learning, but inevitably, whether it's the winter time or in the springtime, or the heating system itself is really inadequate.
Issues of cold air. You know, all this year my room has been cold since October. My name is Joya Woods. I am a 4th grade teacher here at Wildwood School. I've been here for about 10 years, and I've always taught 4th grade. It just blows cold air, so the AC's not on. And so, you know, my kids sit in the classroom with coats on, and that's been for months. So, and they've tried to fix it, but it's been an issue, and I know they're working on it. It's nobody's fault, it's just what it's been.
From a comfort standpoint, I cannot make the classroom heaters in particular operate the way that we would like them to. The heating system, the boilers are in pretty rough shape. I have one boiler with a crack section. The burners that power those boilers, with the exception of a retrofit gun assembly, is original equipment as well, which was 1970s technology.
And additionally, I think we've had a flight of teachers from the school. Like, there's a lot of people that have gone, half our 4th grade team has gone to Crocker Farm. People have gone to other districts because of not only educationally, I can't hear stuff, but I think people perceive that there's health problems associated with the building, and they're worried that it's a sick building and it's impacting their health. So my name's Chris Eggemeyer. I teach 6th grade at Wildwood Elementary School. And you can smell mold and mildew sometimes when after it rains, especially. So just, you know, just general well-being of the building it has negatively impacted a lot of my colleagues.
We haven't had a whole lot of mold issues in this building, but we have had some. Fort River's had numerous mold issues.
I'm Nicole Singer. I'm the art teacher at Fort River School. I teach the whole school, grades K through 6, and this is my 3rd year in Amherst. I know that a lot of people have struggled with health issues with air quality. The building is consistently very damp. There have been mold problems. There have been major leaking problems. Just last week we had was it last week or earlier this week? We had really heavy rain, and there was water just flowing down into the library. Like, need to put a bucket on the floor, kind of flowing down into the library. And I know this has happened in one of the kindergarten rooms earlier this year, where there's just water like spurting from like just leaking into classrooms. So there are definite infrastructure problems going on.
Because of the quad setup, you really don't have any barriers to the noise coming in from 2 other classrooms, and sometimes even 3 classrooms. And so I go into classrooms a lot and do observations or just check in with people, and it's hard for me to hear the lessons, or especially like particularly when kids are sharing. So we like our kids to do a lot of the talking, and I'm struggling to hear what kids say.
The tone of teachers' voices sometimes can carry from classroom to classroom. The tone of student engagement can carry from classroom to classroom, so it can be challenging in terms of noise level, as well as kind of teaching your kind of core idea in isolation.
I would say the biggest thing is the kids have to work really hard to focus their attention because of the level of noise distraction.
Where we are in the quad system really negatively impacts my work with students. For instance, my colleague, so in 6th grade, we switch classes, and I teach English to all the 6th graders, and Jamie teaches science, and Kristen teaches social studies. And Jamie has this awesome program, it's called Inquiry-Based Science. And a lot of it's hands-on, like they make paper airplanes and make hypotheses about how the airplanes are gonna go, but it gets really loud. So we can hear everything that's going on in each of the other rooms, and he's trying to do this really neat science program that's best practice, but it really negatively impacts my students because they hear a lot of what's happening next door. Or like the other day I was showing a TED Talk, and the other 2 classes before they came in my class knew what they were going to watch because they had heard most of it when they're in the other 2 classes. So it's a tough structure. I think we do the best we can, and I work with lovely people, fortunately, but just the actual structure really, really negatively impacts how kids are able to pay attention.
Yeah, and so I think another aspect that I think is not really healthy is the lack of light. And there's really nothing that we can do about that. They have these little windows that go into courtyards, but you don't have much light coming in. And then there's the sight distraction too. So because, again, if I had a map, with a quad, you have the 2 bathrooms and the ends, and so to go to a bathroom, you actually have to walk through another classroom. And can you imagine if you're in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or even 6th grade, you're walking through and you see a friend and you just, even though they've been trained not to look and say something, there's obviously a distraction. They'll turn their heads, and then sometimes it's a whole class having to walk out to go somewhere. They have to go through another whole class. So you have sight, you have the sounds. And it's attention and focus is such an important skill to learn and to train our brains to do it. We're adding extra issues around that for our kids.
The noise level has been challenging for just even not in the quad system, but in the hallways, the way that the building is designed, and it's kind of set up that way. The noise level of transfer of students to and from classes.
We love our library. It's the heart and soul of our school, and kids love to read. Yet the library is there right in the center, which is really where we want it to be, but it doesn't have any walls going up to the ceiling. So if our librarian's reading a story or doing a lesson with our students, you might have 60 1st graders coming in from recess and even though we're trying to get them to be as quiet as possible, they're so full of energy and taking off their snow clothes or their coats or their boots while the librarian's trying to read the story.
It's an open library, so there's no way that she holds classes there. She has 24 classes a day or a week that go through there, and she teaches lessons to them. But there's hundreds of kids that are walking through the hallway, and as best we can, we try to keep them quiet, but the noise echoes in there, and it's really, really tough for her to teach lessons.
Space is a huge one for us at Wildwood in terms of the layout. I think we've had, with the not so much more kids, but the climate of our kids that we're getting. We need more space to be able to not just differentiate in teaching, but we need space to be able to handle therapeutic or behavioral issues that come up. We often don't have that luxury of having a space to go to deal with kids that might fit that profile.
So what do you do now
We do a lot of reshuffling. So if there is a kid that is in crisis, and we have another kid who's maybe has been in crisis, but is maybe kind of leveling out, we may have to move that kid and basically find, those few rooms that are available are really going to be designated to the kids who's has the most severe crisis going on at that moment. But even if another kid still needs more time, we do a lot of reshuffling for that.
So what will happen is, because the children need to have that level of support, they would have to leave. So say a child at Wildwood needs to become a part of the district programs at Fort River, that child would actually have to leave the classroom, leave the community, perhaps even brothers or sisters if they're here at Wildwood, and start to attend Fort River.
This classroom being as large and flexible as it is, allows me to do a whole lot with all grade levels. I have these work tables where kids can work in small groups, they can work on their own. I can sit next to a child and work with them one-on-one, but I also have a lot of floor space around. I kind of wish you could pan around and see how much space I have. I have a meeting area that's a demo table where the kids can gather around while I do something, they can watch the procedure. I also have like kind of a sitting area where the kids will sit on the floor in a big group and I can show pictures and we can talk about the images or have a discussion. So it means we really can have any type of learning configuration in terms of like groups and numbers of kids. And it means that I can do pretty much any medium I want. I have space to keep paint, I have space for dry material and wet material, I have, space for sculpture supplies, I have a kiln in the back closet with the space enough to ventilate it and have the appropriate distance from the wall for the kiln. So we can now have a full ceramics program. So I do really think that I lucked out in terms of layout and size and space here. And I'm glad to be talking with people on the building committee to ensure that we have all those good things maintained, in this new building.
I think teachers, we're already dreaming about kind of like, what that would look like.
It'll be pretty exciting. All that light, that quiet. Can you imagine? Like, a teacher will be able to teach, and it will have this quiet.
Yeah, so it would alleviate a lot of the problems, like just a simple thing like I can get really excited when I'm teaching reading and writing, and we're talking about Billy Collins or Walt Whitman, and I get really animated, and I would be able to be loud and enthusiastic and not be worried about me bugging the other two classes, or I'd be able to have kids work in math groups and talk to each other about the math and not have to quiet them down because they're being too loud for the other classes.
I think the impact is going to be great. I feel it's going to be substantial in terms of just engagement. I would love to be able to, not have the quad system and have just different hopefully experiential opportunities built into the classroom, whether it be a maker space or whether it be, tiered seating for the kids in the meeting space. So all those kinds of things I think will really add to and enhance the classroom environment.
I'm hoping that a new building will still allow me to do all the great things that I've been doing. Just in the last couple of years here, I've kind of revitalized our ceramics program, which I'm really excited about, and the kids are so excited about it. I haven't yet encountered a child who does not love clay. And I'm excited to have a kiln in the new building. I think we just talked with MSBA and they gave us the go-ahead for that. It doesn't cost us any additional money and it's totally safe because we have great working kilns. You just move them to the other building, it's gonna be fine. So I'm excited to keep going with introducing these media to kids and have the space and time to do that. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to have another colleague in the building with me.
I would say a total overhaul of all of the plumbing and heating systems, new boilers, new cooling system. The newer units are much more efficient. They're quieter. The control packages would be updated. They would be a lot more comfort in the room and a lot less noise. I think we'd have a much cleaner building, a building easier to maintain, easier to heat, and I think easier to teach in.
A lot of what we talked about was taking how we've built collaboration between teachers and be able to have the building reflect that. And so by creating pods of where teachers are close to each other, but they have walls, and where they have spaces where kids can go. So the other thing that we're developing is a vision for what we call deeper learning here at Wildwood and all the schools in Amherst, so that kids can do things over extended period of time, having more project-based work that's connected to the real world. And we feel like a new building and designing spaces for children to do that will really help us bring that vision to a reality. So people have asked the question of, well, aren't you really building one big, large school? And the answer is no. We're building two smaller schools that will be actually smaller than Wildwood right now, about 375. So they'll be side by side, but they'll each have their own distinct identity and staff. Yet at the same time, by having shared resources, we'll be able to solve some of the problems that we've had in our district for the last 20 years.
All school building committee meetings are public, and we encourage everyone to attend and learn about the project and offer feedback and More information about these meetings and the project can be